You've seen the statue, the marble face, the snakes coiled where her hair should be, the severed head in a hero's hand, eyes still open. You've been told she was a monster. What you haven't been told, what almost no one will tell you, is that she was a woman first, a priestess, sworn to a goddess, beautiful enough that a god noticed her and decided she would not say no. Before Medusa hid her face from the world, what did they do to her that made her need to? This is what they took from her before they took her name. The statues lied about her. Here's the truth. She was born in a fishing village on the edge of the world. 3 sisters, and she was the youngest, and the only mortal one. Her name was Medusa, and even as a child, the elders said her face was a quiet kind of beautiful, the kind that made the sea calm, the kind that made men forget what they came to ask. She did not want what beauty brought her. Suitors at every door, whispers in every market, hands that lingered too long when she passed. So she did the only thing a young woman of Greece could do. She gave herself to a god, not as a wife, but as a servant. She walked alone to the temple of Athena in Athens, and she swore the oath of the priestess: chastity, service, a life of silence and ritual. In exchange, the goddess of wisdom would shelter her from the world of men. For years, it worked. She rose before dawn. She tended the sacred fire. She washed the marble steps with her own hands until her knuckles bled. And in the high windows of the Parthenon, she watched the sea and felt, for the first time in her life, untouchable. She did not know that Poseidon, god of that same sea, had been watching her too. He came to her at the altar. The doors of the temple were sealed. Athena was nowhere, and the goddess Medusa had given her life to did not come. What happened in that temple is something the old poets describe in 3 lines, and the new poets refuse to describe at all. There is no version where Medusa walks out the same. There is no version where she chose it. When the doors finally opened, and Athena returned to her own temple to find what had been done in it, the goddess turned her wrath on the one person she could. You would think the goddess of wisdom would turn her fury on the god who broke her temple. You would be wrong. Because in the world of the Greek gods, a goddess does not strike a brother god. Not Zeus, not Poseidon. The order of Olympus does not bend, even when one of them violates a sacred place, even when one of them violates a sacred girl. So Athena did the only thing the order allowed. She turned to the priestess, bleeding, broken, kneeling on the floor of the temple she had served for years, and she lifted her hand. Medusa felt her hair move first, strands turning, twisting, lifting from her scalp on their own. She felt her skin go cold and scaled and ancient. She felt her teeth lengthen, her eyes catch fire, and she saw, in the silver basin of holy water at her feet, the face of something the world would soon learn to call a monster. She raised her eyes to her goddess, and whatever was left of the woman in her begged for an explanation. What Athena said next is the moment the story changes, because it was not a punishment. It was something the gods had never given a mortal woman before, and it was about to make Medusa, for the few brief years she had left, the most powerful woman who had ever lived. I cannot strike him. That is what the goddess said, quiet, cold, the voice of a being who had just been forced to see the limits of her own power. I cannot strike him, but I can make certain no man ever touches you again. This is the part of the story they cut out, the part the statues don't show, the part the heroes don't tell. Athena had not cursed Medusa. she had armored her. The Gorgon's gaze, the power to turn any living man to stone with a single look, was not a punishment from a vengeful goddess. It was the only protection one goddess could give to a mortal woman in a world ruled by gods who took what they wanted. No suitor would come for her now. No god would dare. The snakes that crowned her head were a warning. The face that men had once stared at would now be the last face they ever saw. Medusa was meant to walk away from that temple, alone, terrible, untouchable, and live the rest of her days free. And for a while, she did. She left Athens. She walked west. She found a cave at the edge of the world, a quiet place, a stone place, a place where no one would find her. And she lived. Years passed, decades by some tellings. The most beautiful woman in Greece had become the most feared. And in being feared, she was, and for the first time since girlhood, safe. But the gods do not let mortals stay safe for long. A young man named Perseus was about to be told by another goddess that the only way to save his mother was to bring back Medusa's head. He came at night. He carried a mirrored shield, gift of Athena, sandals of flight, gift of Hermes, a blade that could cut what no mortal blade could. He found her sleeping. He did not look at her face. He could not. The shield turned the world backward, and he watched her reflection as he raised the sword above the only protection she had ever been given. She did not wake. The mirror was the last thing her eyes saw before the blade. Athena, the same goddess who had armored her, accepted the head from Perseus and set it on her own breastplate. The aegis, the shield she wore into every battle for the rest of recorded myth. The face of the priestess she had once tried to save became the weapon she carried forever. This is the part of the story they call a hero's victory. This is the part the statues celebrate. But if you have listened this far, you already know what the statues left out. She was not born a monster. She was made one. Not by Poseidon, not by Athena, but by a world that decided the safer a woman became, the more dangerous she was allowed to look. They didn't curse her. They armored her. And then they sent a boy to kill the only protection she'd ever been given, and called him a hero for it. If you had been given a gift that came at the cost of every face you'd ever loved, would you have called it a curse too? That is the question Medusa never got to answer. Subscribe, because next week we tell the story of the god everyone feared, but nobody understood. Hades is waiting at the gates. The statues lied. They always have.